Uh, I am Darus Ibrahim bin Zamri from class 5A. I am doing the pragmatics interview about culture. So this is my neighbor,
Hey,
Abdi.
hello there.
Uh, so for the first question, how does your culture influence the way individuals communicate verbally with others?
My culture in particular,
Yes.
I guess it could be well, when we talk about Malaysia, it's very diverse in the sense that we integrate our culture with each other, and obviously due to that, whether it be when you're off to the mama or you're meeting up with your Indian mates, you go macha or day. Where and if we talk about other than verbal, we've got obviously food, music perhaps. W- in that sense, Malaysia is very very diverse. So yeah.
I agree. So, can you share an example where cultural differences affected the way a message was interpreted?
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about my culture in particular, obviously, I take pride with the fact that I'm Malaysian first, then Indian comes afterwards, at least in my opinion. So obviously, if you talk to somebody from India, even though we share the same language, perhaps you know a lot of things in general. When it comes to particular things, perhaps is the way that I carry myself, or I use Malay words when I'm talking, and so that's where it comes in. I have to clarify myself, and I have to remind myself that, oh, I'm actually talking to somewhere with different cultural backgrounds, and I can't apply the same things. So yeah.
That's good. Um, for my second question, in your opinion, how do language differences affect understanding and meaning in intercultural communication?
Well, obviously, some words in some cultures carry heavier weight compared to some words in our culture, right? So, in how there's the differences, it could just very much mean that words that we perhaps use generally, we don't really think much of it. But however, if you look across, even though you look across a different culture, even though you speak the same language, it might be treated more seriously. So yeah, there are certain scenarios where I just like it's pretty casual, but for them it's quite a big thing. So yeah.
So, how do differences in tone, choice of words, or speech style vary between cultures?
It's a very good question, honestly. Well, I would say that perhaps in some cultures, the tone might be a little aggressive. As Malaysians, we're really laid back, right? We don't really have that aggression in our voice unless we pursue something aggressive, right? Like some guy cut us off in the road. So, for example, I have an Arabic friend, right? So when he talks with his family, it sounds like they're having a fight all the time. But no, they're actually chilling. So it goes with some cultures, especially with when I've had interactions with some of my Korean mates.
Oh.
Their friendly conversation can look like they're about to bash each other up. So yeah, tone plays a huge part.
Yeah, I agree. For the third question, how important is nonverbal communication in expressing messages across different cultures?
Well, okay, so obviously, right? When we express ourselves other than words, obviously you got your body language, right? And for example, I could give you an example over here, right? So for us, the peace sign is just the peace sign, right?
Yeah.
However, if you invert that peace sign and slightly curve your fingers, it automatically becomes another expression for the middle finger, right? So when I found that out, that was a huge shock to me, because I just struck the pose because I thought of it as just the peace sign and nothing more, right? And you would think to yourself, it's just hand gesture. What's wrong with it? So yeah, culturally that really shocked me when it happened the first time. So yeah.
I see. So, what nonverbal behaviors are commonly misunderstood in cross-cultural communication? You can use the the peace sign,
Yeah.
the middle finger as an example, right?
Right. Yeah, so that obviously is a great example, and obviously body language plays a huge part. And oftentimes it can be, if we talk about body language, right, and in general, perhaps if you know about how it is with perhaps gangs in general, right?
Yeah.
So a simple, let me strike a random, this could turn out to be you initiating some sort of gang war,
Yeah.
right? So obviously very it's often commonly misunderstood. Yeah, something that we find chill and normal could be something totally different to another person.
I agree. Okay, so can cultural differences in communication styles contribute to misunderstandings or conflicts?
Well, yeah. Um, I've had this issue when I'm dealing with people of British culture, right? If they follow, the part of it, right? So sarcasm,
Yeah.
right? Some cultures, they're very straightforward with the message and the intent. However, um, when sarcasm, when in British culture in general, right? I feel like sarcasm is very much present, and sometimes when just when you're introduced to it, right? Without any prior experience, you kind of, it's hard to distinguish the line. Sometimes you can't really detect whether it's sarcasm or they're actually being genuine. So yeah, that's what I think.
And how do people usually react when a cultural misunderstanding occurs during communication?
Well, honestly, with the experiences I've had, they usually laugh it off. It's never that deep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
never that deep.
true.
However, altercations could happen. I mean, you've probably seen skits and whatnot. But yeah, it could happen. But most of the time, people laugh it off because end of the day, we're human and we're exchanging experiences
Yeah.
and culture. So it's more experience, more knowledge to us, and it's just a bit of fun. So I don't really see, I haven't really had that type of thing happen much before.
So for the last question, how can awareness of cultural differences improve communication and reduce conflict in multicultural settings?
Well, obviously, you could perhaps do research in the form of media, right?
Yeah.
You could listen to songs from that culture, right? Because obviously, pop culture references are rife in songs, movies, and whatnot. That could be something you could do to raise your awareness. However, honestly, just ask. That's the best way, right?
Yeah.
You could ask if this is okay, if this is not. For example, if you were to go down to I don't know, sushi zanmai right now, order a bowl of ramen and start slurping, you would get a lot of stares, right? However, you do the same thing in Japan, the chef would appreciate it. It's a sign of respect that
Yeah.
you enjoy the dish, right? So obviously, just ask and be aware as much as you can. Yeah.
So, for the final follow up question, what strategies can individuals use to communicate more effectively with people from different cultures?
Well, honestly, as I mentioned before, asking. But when you ask, it would be better to, when you're having a conversation, you do something that's distinctively Malaysian, for example, right? Like using la, and then you explain to them what it is. So having these conversations building up, so they'll have an understanding of your culture, and most of the times they'll chime in as well. You have la in your culture, we have whatever in our culture. So that's a really smooth and nice way to understand their culture and get them more comfortable in such scenarios. So yeah, that's the strategy I would employ.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I agree with that. So, yeah, that's it for all the questions. Thank you, Avi.
Yeah.
You are very helpful.
No problem, mate. Anytime for you.
Thank you.